Okay, I'm happy that your product does what it's supposed to do. How is it with negative testing, though? Negative testing. Negative space testing. Negative testing. I am cheating because these are actually two words, negative and testing. But when you put the two words together, it describes one unique idea, especially relevant to engineers and engineering of all types. So testing on its own, that's describing a really important part of the design process. And you might know that after you analyze a problem and try to design a solution and you prototype it and you build it, you don't just give it out. You've got to test it first. I mean, if I design a new medical implant, I'm not just going to think of it in my head and build it and shove it in somebody. No, there's a testing phase. You test it on rats and then animals, other animals, and maybe you do some computer simulations. There's a whole round of tests that you do. Normally, when you think of testing, you think about making sure that your product behaves how it's supposed to. So that medical device, I mean, if it was designed to filter your blood, you should make sure that if you input blood into it, it filters the blood. If you put in something like blood into it, it gets rid of, I don't know, toxins or bacteria or whatever that device, this made up device that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, you make sure that it filters the blood. Negative testing is the idea of making sure that your product still is okay when you input totally unpredictable inputs, when you input ridiculous things, when you input invalid things. Like, for example, that blood filtration device. What if I'm inputting pure water? Does it run okay? I mean, it's meant to be used in the body to take in blood and filter out bacteria and viruses and whatnot, but if I put in pure water, will it catch on fire? That's not good. My product should not totally fail in a catastrophic way if I use it improperly. I do negative testing. I put in crazy inputs to make sure my product is still okay. Computer software is another domain in which negative testing is pretty important. You might create software that would expect numbers, for example. Maybe it's software that calculates a budget if you input how much money you make and how much you spend. Fine. Normally people would put in numbers. But let's just say I make a typo and I put in the letter Q in there. That's totally invalid. Who would type in the letter Q when I'm trying to type in numeric values or monetary values? Well, it could be an accident. So I put in this invalid input of the letter Q. Does my software blow up? Does my software catch fire? Does my software still give me a budget that doesn't make any sense? These are the questions that we try to answer with negative testing, and the problems that we prevent with negative testing are potentially catastrophic problems. That is why negative testing is so important to the design process as well as standard testing. Making sure that the product behaves how it's supposed to will make sure the product also behaves okay when you input crazy things. Negative testing is our engineering phrase of the day. Hey, this is Pius, your host for Engineering Word of the Day. Thanks for listening. If you like this show, you should also check out the longer form podcast of ours called the K-12 Engineering Education Podcast. And it is all about learning engineering and talking about engineering education at a deeper level. Go on over to k12engineering.net to check it out.